Badillac. So we're here. It is a Wednesday, and we're a couple days away from the super serious, ultra important, freaking local drag race by your house that we need to be at. We were there last year with your machine, the X3, and Waylon's Turbo Pro R. We had a great time there. We had a great time.
Kind of wish we had that Pro R back.
I do wish
I
that
miss
too.
That thing's so much fun.
Yeah, but we don't have it. So what's the next best thing to take? The Badillac. Unfortunately, you guys probably seen the Badillac has some engine issues, and we don't really want to run it much longer like that. We especially don't want to be hitting it with a 250 shot like that. So
no, I don't think it'll last. Nope,
probably not. So the next best thing is to do what? Put a $100 engine in it. Right here, look at this unit. So this is a 4.8. Kyle pulled out of a truck, had 300,000 on it. Ran good. The guy just wanted to upgrade. It's actually our friend Andy. So came out of a running and driving truck.
Yeah, the ring gap. I mean, with 300K, that ring gap's already pre-gapped. You know? I don't think a seal or a gasket actually is sealing on this. Maybe the head gaskets probably are working, but man, this thing's leaking everywhere.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's not a clean unit, but it's the unit for the Badillac. So this isn't the long-term engine for the Badillac. We've got to put that together. We're going to do some nice stuff with that. This is just a temporary unit. So this is going to be essentially a day project. We're going to get this thing cleaned up. I've got a mystery camshaft that we're putting in this. We're going to change the valve springs in this, and then we're just going to put it in the car. So
I got some wooden dowels.
What's that?
Got some wooden dowels or dowels that we got to keep the lifters. If anybody's heard of the page Sloppy Mechanics, I'm pretty sure that's the route we're going with how we're doing this motor. You know, it's a $100 4.8 that we just don't give a beep about.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we've got an engine stand. We can just turn it upside down. We don't.
Oh,
we
that's
don't
a
need.
good idea. Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I don't usually do it that way. I pull heads. I'd rather pull heads and drop a lifter.
Well, yeah, that's the plan for today. So phase one of this deal is getting this thing cleaned up. We got a power washer over here. We're gonna drag this outside, lift it up with a cherry picker, power wash it, bring it back inside, throw it on an engine stand, do some, well, not great upgrades to it, but it's what we got.
Hey, it'll work. And then just spray the piss out of it.
Yep, spray the piss out of it.
And if it grenades, it grenades. We don't care.
We don't care. If it survives, hey, it survives. That's cool too. So I'll show you guys what we're dealing with in terms of parts that we're going to be putting in this. Some good as used parts, as I like to say.
Used.
And then we got to get to work because I want to have this thing running tonight. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, it has to.
Yep. Great parts we got here. So, nice brand used cam. This isn't a Livernois cam. This is actually the supposed sloppy stage 3 cam that was in the Crown Rick when I first bought that thing. So that was way too big, I felt, for what I wanted to do with that car. So I pulled it out. I put the Livernois cam in it. And obviously, when we're putting some cowboy motor in this Badillac, we can't just have a stock cam in there.
Yeah, we talked about it. We're like, man, we could just toss that motor in, spray like a 150, 200 shot at it, and just hope it lives. We're like, man, it won't sound good.
No.
Like, it's not gonna be choppy. Like this thing, you know, part of the main thing about the Badillac being cool is just the sound.
Yeah.
Which it's not gonna sound, unfortunately, not gonna sound like it does now.
Yeah.
I don't know, that nitrous cam from Dr. Toot 'em All just. That freaking thing hits.
Yep, 100%.
So,
well, this was free, so if it's free, it's for me. So we got this used cam. Take a look at this. Custom packaged up in shop rags. It is a new cam. I mean, never ran. It's got freaking some sort of assembly lube on there, or it was ketchup. I don't know. But we've also got valve springs. So these are the old heads off the Crown Rick. So the...
Conwood?
That's cat hair, actually. But so I pulled these off the Crown Rick because I had an issue where it was blowing coolant out the between the head gasket and the cylinder head. So it didn't actually torch the head gasket, but you could see where someone was in there with a whizzy wheel and cleaned them up that way, and just didn't seal. And that was only on 12 pounds boost. But
I love people like that.
Don't care about the heads. I'm here for the valve springs, so I don't even know what valve springs these are. Some sort of dual valve springs. Gonna be good enough. So we got to pop those off of there, and those will be going on that junk engine after we get that cam in and get it cleaned up.
My only worry is valve seals, because if these, I don't know if they go all the way down to the bottom. Sometimes they take a special valve seal for the dual valve springs, but if they're just like the top ones, I think we can get some of those.
It looks like there's some sort of shim on the bottom. I don't know. Sometimes that's integrated into the seal.
Or they're
so
separate. So we'll find out as soon as we pop one off. So.
Yeah, we'll make it work. So these are our brand used parts that are going on. And that's really all we're changing. We got to reuse the balancer off of the Badillac engine. Yep. We're going to reuse the basically everything else. Headers, intake manifold. Like, it's pretty much going to be the same thing.
Maybe swap a couple sensors if it needs it. The oil pressure sensor. That one's probably might be more specific to Holly.
We'll find out.
Everything else should be the same.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal. We got to get going. I think it's 9:18 right now. So
yeah, and I got to go do some running.
All right. Well, I'll try not to burn the place down.
Please don't.
Well, we got the engine partially dug out from over there, but the sucker's heavy. So what better piece of equipment to get this thing outside with than a friggin' 300 horsepower X3? So we're gonna spin that thing around. We're gonna strap that and drag it outside. All right, let's see how this thing works. Whoa, 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 whoa! Terry. I think these hooks are welded on now. Oh, geez, you got the power. No big deal. This is a pro setup. I feel like this is what the Badillac needs. Like, this kind of treatment. Like, you don't want anything too nice for it, you know?
I don't know if I'd use the term pro.
What
Maybe
would
that
you
other word that you used in the last video where it said
broke dick?
Yeah, that one.
I'm all
like
about
this
it.
cherry picker. I freaking hate this thing.
If anyone has a cherry picker they want to send Kyle, we'll take it. We got this thing hooked up. Time to lift her up. Get her in the freaking. Oh, dude. Who put this back bolt in?
I told you I didn't have to go grab a different socket.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I said, oh, that's not a 15.
All right, maybe I missed that.
Maybe you just didn't pay attention.
Probably. All right, guys, we got the engine hanging there. Step one, like I said, we got to get this thing cleaned up. And the way I'm going to go about cleaning this thing, I'm not going to necessarily tell you I recommend, so I'm going to do very minimal as far as blocking stuff off that I'm washing on this. We've got all the spark plugs out of it. If there's some water that gets down the intake ports or into the exhaust ports, we're going to roll this thing over before we fire it up for the first time. So yeah, the water's not going to be sitting in there for very long. Prior to even putting it on the cherry picker, we noticed there was some stuff down some of the intake ports, unfortunately. So that kind of needs to be cleaned up in some way, shape, or form. So we'll address that after the wash. But picked up a couple different kinds of engine degreaser from my local Bay City AutoZone. They're always great to work with. So I'm gonna get this thing freaking soaking with some engine degreaser, and then fire up Kyle's power washer and get it cleaned up. So we're gonna do very minimal disassembly on this. We really only have to take off the front cover on the engine to get the cam swapped out. The valve springs we'll be able to swap out without pulling the heads, and then I'm hoping it goes pretty smooth. So we're reusing a lot of stuff. This is, again, not how I would normally do an engine, but 3 days before a fun event, I wanted to do something that was low cost and kind of an experiment. So that's what we're doing. Let's get this unit cleaned up. Man, look at this greasy old hog just soaking. So went through a whole bottle of engine cleaner on this thing. We went with the gel first. It's supposed to be for the real nasty thick stuff. So I'm gonna hit it once with the power washer, and then I've got a can of foamy. Where's that? Right there. We'll hit that for round 2. And hopefully the sucker cleans up nice. right, guys. So went through the first round of power washing this thing. It cleaned up pretty good. Again, I can't stress enough. Don't actually do this. Do a better job than I did with blocking off stuff that shouldn't be getting water in it. Just an experiment for my own personal satisfaction, and this is, I just don't really want to spend a lot of time on this thing. So we'll see what happens in the long term. But for now, take a look at how this cleaned up after the first round of engine degreasing and power washing. Overall, looking pretty decent. There's still some yuck we can clean up a little bit. So, but for the first round, pretty content with that. So I'm going to hit it again now with the foam, and we'll get this thing looking good as used. Don't worry about those intake ports. It's not a big deal, guys. Maybe it is, though. Well, there she be in all of her clean-ish glory. So definitely an improvement over what we started with on this thing. So now, time to get this thing inside, get it on an engine stand, and open her up, throw that cam in there, and I'm hoping to have this engine going back together by the time Kyle comes back. So there was some talks that he was going to bring some food, which I'm super hungry already. Not really surprising there, but yeah, I'm just ready to freaking geese. Ready to get this thing going. All right, we got this bad unit on the engine stand. May or may not have had to use Kyle's X3 to tow the cherry picker in. Moving on. But I got to get the drain plug out of this thing, drain any oil out of it that might be in there. We'll just leave that out and let it do its thing for a little bit. And then we're going to start ripping this thing apart. So I got to pull the valve covers off of it to change the valve springs, pull the front cover off of it, and then all of our goodness is going to be inside there. This is the lightweight block model. You can see it's kind of shed some stuff over the years, which I don't mind that at all. Got to save where you can, you know what I mean? All right, let's see what kind of goo we got in here. I don't know if that'll stay or not. Hopefully this was a junk bucket. That's the good stuff there. Good stuff, yeah. Hopefully he drained this before, and that's not just what was in there, but I mean, if it was, it was. We'll let that drain for a little bit. I'm going to start taking the valve covers and stuff off of this. Get the rocker arms off. Be able to take that front cover off, get the cam out, no big deal. Okay, driver's side bank. Let's see what this thing looks like. Oh, this valve cover might be welded on there. Let's see if we can get a little pry action. There we go. Dang, overall, super clean. That's impressive. Super clean, honestly. For $300,000, geez, oh man. You find that sometimes, though, that the nastiest ones on the outside are the best ones on the inside. Take that for what it's worth. So I'll pop that other side off and see how that one looks. Passenger side bank looking just as good. That's crazy. Oh, man. These engines are great. I love these things. So with that taken apart, I'm going to let this oil drain a little bit longer before we flip it over, because we'll probably inevitably get some stuff coming out the top. And I just wanted all the nastiness to not run back through the engine. So I suppose I can take these rocker arms off, get that front cover off, and then when that's all done, we can spin this thing over and start taking the cam out of it. All right, there's kind of like two polarizing opinions on the internet when it comes to cams and cam bearings and LS engines. Either you absolutely have to change the cam bearings in them, or you just don't look at the cam bearings because it doesn't matter what they look like. And for most of the stuff I do, I tend to lean towards the latter. Just send it. Most of the time it ends up being okay. Most of the time, not all the time. But I figure, why don't we just take a look at these cam bearings and see how they look. Regardless of how they look, we're not changing them. So let's take a peek and see how this brand used cam is going to be wearing on these things. Get our freaking light going here. Oh man, honestly, hard to tell, but pretty good, honestly. This thing is in a fantastic shape on the inside. I don't know how you can beat this thing for $100. Kyle heard it run, so I trust that it's going to be all right. But slide that cam in there and keep going back together. Right here, look at that.
Man, it's got. I feel like I went on a Snap-on.
What is this? Probably $25.
30. It's 29.
Oh no.
All to basically colon cleanse.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go piss out of my butthole now.
Yep. Look at that! Look at that! That's what I like right there. This is a little treat for it.
I don't know why we need that. I got some PV blasters, the same stuff.
We splurged a little bit because we saved all that money on that cam and those valve springs. So we can. I figure we let her drink down the intake ports a little bit before we fire it up. You know. So
man, just giving it the best stuff.
Well, let's eat this first, and then I'll have you take a look at this thing. I think you're going to be impressed.
Is it black?
Oh, you'll see. I'm so full.
Same. That's bad. That mixed with allergies. Now I just want to go lay on my couch.
Yeah. Well, take a peek. What do you think about this unit?
Well, that looks about normal for 300K.
Someone changed the oil. That's cool.
Yeah, they had to make it last that many miles.
Yep.
Not too bad. Probably should have replaced that plate.
Yeah, I normally do, but I'm in the spirit of this.
That's fine. I'll just run heavier oil.
Right. I already typically do that. Did I tell you my plan? You know, when we started that Badillac up the last time, I just put brand new oil in it.
You already told me your plan.
Yeah. Well, I said the oil was in the Badillac. I didn't know if you knew that I meant it was the oil that's in the engine or if you thought there was new oil inside the car. Anyways, it's $50, dude. It's half as much of this engine. You think I can't just waste it? Think about that.
It's full of metal.
Dude, the old oil wasn't full of metal. Why would the new oil be full? Okay, I'll
It
compromise.
wasn't making the noise as loud.
I'll put a new oil filter on. I can.
At least do that.
All right.
Please.
Cheap one, though. We got to go to
Why are you
Walmart.
working at the front of my barn?
Well, I had to tow this thing in with the X3. We can move stuff around. It's
Yeah,
fine.
because there's benches and that's where the tools are.
Yeah. Dude, I'm broke, dude. You know this. I'm not used to being all professional with this, nice 4.8 here. All right, I got
4-point and great.
I power washed
that got honestly really clean. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I power washed the ports. Can you tell?
Is that similar to like port and polishing?
Yeah, it's with like it's not quite CNC, but still it's it's like what do they call those liquid cutter things,
Water jet?
Water jet, yeah. It's like that except it's not. So
It just does nothing.
right. But we're about done here. We just need to change these valve springs, put this front cover on, and we're good to go. Obviously, put the cam gear and retainer plate and stuff on, but
That's easy.
that's easy stuff. So we'll get moving on that. This thing will be ready to get pulled in no time. All right, we got our Crown Rick heads inside on the workbench, ready to take these valve springs off. Got another one down there. So I just got to find Kyle's valve spring compressor tool, and we'll get those yoinked out. Once we have all those stripped down, we can work on this one. Or work on the new engine, I should say. We'll just have to shoot some air into each cylinder when we're going to change these out so the valves don't drop down. I might just also throw them at TDC. I feel a little bit more comfortable that way when we get to each one. But gotta find that valve spring tool. It was over here. Oh, there it is right there. So let's get these things swapped out. So we got all of our valve springs off. We got all of our valve seals.
Put me on camera with no hat on. All people are gonna be like, that guy's bald.
Well, I'm blind from looking at that, and I got my own hair that's missing. So all of our stuff's taken off these old heads. There's some bungaloid porting job on those. I don't even want to look at that. So,
You should show that. You need to show
all right, this is what you don't do to heads, guys. I'm pretty sure it was. Where was that at? Was it this one? Someone got a little carried away with the Dremel. I don't know. Moving on. So we just got to swap the springs onto our new 4-point grate. I only maybe have one of these valve seals. That's questionable until I figure out the technique to take them off without harming them. That ain't no big deal.
We don't need them to seal for what we're doing with it.
Right, exactly. So onto this. Freaking 16 valves and about ready to go together. Even put a new oil filter on this. am going to reuse the oil out of the Badillac, though. That's just a fact. At least to get it started up, and then I'll change it. Why didn't you?
Well, I wasn't in the engine.
Oh, yeah. We got ourselves a race motor here. This thing's ready for some freaking parts to come off that Badillac that's out there. And then it's ready to go in. No big deal. Yeah. We're going to see how big of a deal it is to actually pull that engine. I think it's going to be pretty easy.
I won't be too bad. We can pull that. We'll pull the radiator out. Don't think we got to pull the other, like the oil cooler, the trans cooler. Pull that cross member off. I think you should slide it out.
Yeah. Well, let's get it off the trailer and... You want to back it in here, you think?
No. I can have that engine out of the Silverado in like 3 hours, so this should take an hour and a half.
Okay, I like that. No big deal. Let's go.
Last time this engine's going to be running, she lived a hard 2 years. Just sitting at 7,400.
All right, the Badillac's on the lift behind us. There's going to be 2 of us working on this thing, so bit of a learning curve to see what it's going to take to get an engine out and in this thing with the body on it. But as Kyle said, shouldn't be too difficult. But we're just going to figure that out and get going on this. Hopefully we can have this thing running tonight.
Yeah, I remember. So remember when you were like trying to diagnose this, right? I said I think you should pull a plug.
Yeah.
You know, check maybe pistons or at least plugs. Found one.
Yeah, the strap left the chat.
She melted, literally.
That's gone.
So either that cylinder went lean, or
which one was that? Was that number 5?
Yeah.
Wasn't there something up with number 5? Wasn't that the one that had that like fuel or something around the injector? Remember?
Yes. Which I guess if they had a fuel leak at the injector, it might go lean there.
Super
we might
weird.
need to look at that.
Yeah, that's weird.
All right, I'll keep pulling.
Dang. Well, that's a problem. That also explains why it idles like ass.
Yeah, the cylinder said, I'm done.
That's freaking brutal. Okay, we got the rest of the plugs out, and out of 8, 4 of them are completely torched, and then the other 4 basically started to go. You can see kind of that ball at the end, so it was turning a little bit liquidy. Yeah, it's not good. So, all right, quick update. We got the headers out. Torque converter is loosened up. Most of the bell housing bolts, there's just one that we have to get from the top once we take the intake off. And
yeah, 1 or 2, I think 1.
Should be pretty easy. We should be able to let this thing down and start
everything from up top.
Yeah.
Probably pull the water pump.
Yeah, should we pull all the accessories off, you think?
I guess we can play it up, see how much room we have once we get the radiator and core support off, but
good idea.
I think we'll probably, I usually do just to be safe,
yeah.
Have more room.
All right.
Let's get at it.
Dang, where you going with that thing? Nowhere?
I was dumping the water out into the kiddie pool of my coolant.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know where to go with it.
Man, there's a lot of space with that sucker under there. I think we are going to have to take this crossbar out and these coolers, don't you think?
That?
We're going to have to take this crossbar out and the coolers?
This has to come out. I'm thinking this cooler is going to have to come out. Maybe those and lines. I mean, if we pull intake and accessories, we're going to have another foot.
Big update. Intake manifolds coming off this
Big
unit.
update. I got all this out, all that off. You got the fuel rails off.
Well, we still got stuff plugged in the back. I guess it's not going to come off, but we'll be able to slide it forward at least.
All right, I slide it forward, you unplug stuff.
All right, deal. Well, it's about time to yank that aluminum unit out. We got the cherry pickered in here. We just got to pull the motor mount bolts out, and sucker should hopefully come out. I think we're going to try and leave the trans cooler and the engine oil cooler in there.
I think worst case, we just pop these lines off.
I think the lines are going to be the hold up, huh?
Well, I mean, it just gives us like another inch.
Another inch. That's what you always need.
Always looking for another inch.
came out super easy, honestly.
Yeah, not bad.
Things we got to swap over from this engine onto the new old one, whatever you want to call it. The oil pressure sender, valve covers. We actually are going to take these push rods out because they ended up being a little bit too short. So we're going to reuse the push rods from that engine. But we're in good shape.
I just shot it in the dark. I was like, I have some push rods. They're not 740s, but they might be close. I'm sure those lifters are drained down a little bit, so probably would tighten up a little, but I bet that's going to have some valve tray noise.
Yeah.
For sure.
Touch too much. No big deal. It's a quick procedure to get those changed. All right, just redid some wire looming here from a thermal event that took place a long time ago in a galaxy not so far away. Well, this engine is just about ready to go in. We need to get it on the cherry picker, put the flex plate on, and then it'll be ready to drop in. So should be no big deal. Hopefully this gets wrapped up here pretty soon. I'm excited to hear this thing. It should sound pretty decent, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to sound the same, but...
That's just the way it is.
Not for now.
Well, I'm thinking this is it. What do you think? I think we've got everything.
Yeah,
we need to do some cleanup with zip ties and etc. But to make this thing run and see how she sounds, I think we got everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's got oil. It's got water. It's got headers now. Because that last update, realized that we forgot to put the headers on.
I think I said headers. I think you just didn't.
Maybe you did. I was not thinking about it. I say we start it up.
All right, I'm going to crank it over a little bit. Slowly build some oil. Obviously, it's not going to make oil everywhere, but it'll do some stuff. So, oh boy. Hopefully the last 2 days worth of work have been for something promising.
Hopefully it lasts for 2 days.
All right, we're going to roll it real quick. It made that. It wasn't as prominent as it is now, but I would like to know what it is, but maybe we'll figure that out some other time. See any sprayage?
I do not see any sprayage.
Should I touch her off?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it don't sound all there.
No, the lifter's a little noisy. Like, I mean, God, imagine you dumped a bunch of mixture oil into the cylinders.
Yeah.
That's all getting burned.
And I'll also be honest with you, this motor doesn't have a ton of oil pressure.
We put used oil in it. That was plenty condensation. It's an E85. I mean, it came out of a running driving truck.
Yeah.
Like it drove here. I drove it in and just swapped a motor that had a cam in it. He wanted me to swap in.
It didn't sound all there though, did it?
Why is it high idling? Or was that about normal? It just sounds much worse in here.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think we have any vacuum leaks or anything, do we? Everything's plugged in the back. It also didn't sound like much cam.
No, it's because it was sitting at 1,500.
Well, I can start it up again. I don't know.
I mean, the only thing to do
I don't know
is
if
to run it.
I'm going to check and see if I can do the field test on these headers, see if we got a dead hole or anything.
I got a temp gun.
Oh, you do? I mean, those ones are hot.
These are all roughly the same.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the tune just needs some work. I don't know.
I don't know why it'd be idling that high.
Well, our throttle cable isn't.
Yeah, but that's not going to
Yeah, that's true. It's closed all the way.
And that takes 2 seconds
Should be.
to hook up, but I'm assuming it's the second one right here. Or is it this one? Which one is it? This one.
I think it's that one.
Alright.
The IX plugged in, right? Yeah. All right, let's light it again. It was like 28 pounds of oil pressure.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Swap that oil pressure sensor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Hey, oil pressure's back.
Hey, it was just low voltage today.
45 pounds. Hey, nice work.
They ain't gonna hear anything we say.
Yeah, I know. Hey, $100 motor.
$100 motor. It works.
Well, there we have it. $100 engine. I think total budget was, so we had $100 in the engine. I already had the cam. What else? I already had the valve springs.
Yep.
What did I need to buy?
Reused valve seals.
Yeah, already had the valve seals. Reused push rods.
Reused push rods.
I had.
You bought an oil filter. That was what, $5?
Well, I had to buy. I've had to buy 2 oil filters. I didn't put the second one on yet. I'm gonna change the oil, so I've got 30.
You bought some cheap oil.
Yeah, high mileage. That's what this is.
Oh, it's for marathons.
So I got $35 in oil. What else did I buy? Some wire loom. Wire loom was $20. That's not the engine though. You can't really count that.
Was just wire and harness.
Spark plugs. Those were a super good deal from my local Bay City AutoZone. If you guys got a local Bay City AutoZone, I suggest you go there. It's a good place. What else? I think that was it. That's basically it.
Touch a gasket. You reuse the
Reuse water pump gasket. Reuse front cover gasket.
Normally you can't reuse a water pump gasket, but I pulled these off. I'm like, they look brand new, and you can still feel the seal on them. I'm like, screw it.
Yeah. So what? Total cost $150.
You got some that engine cleaner?
Oh, Marvel's out.
No, well, I mean like the oven cleaner stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this literally got power washed.
Yeah, I power washed the freaking intake ports. Hey, they cleaned up decent. There's freaking plants growing in there.
She's running.
She is running. So we'll probably get a hold of my friend. Yeah, we'll get a hold of my friend Matt Sanford. He'll maybe tweak some stuff with the tune a little bit. It's obviously not the same thing.
You start it up and the idle comes down at idles, but as soon as you touch the throttle, then it won't come back down. So don't think it's a vacuum leak, because a vacuum leak should show right away. So probably tune just needs a little tweaking. And it doesn't sound the same, I will admit. We talked about it.
Yep.
Don't have that Dr. Tune 'em all cam sound.
No.
So it's whatever. Now it sounds like a cammed LS, which is still good sounding.
Next engine. Next engine is going to be beast. And it's also going to be very
like
cost effective.
Stroker or something.
Okay, not that beast, but... Well, that's it. The Badillac's back. That was a good learning experience, understanding what it takes to actually change the engine in this. Basically like changing the engine in a truck. Maybe slightly easier. There's a ton of room to work on this thing, so I think we did a good job at putting this thing together and making it serviceable. Our freaking $100 engine runs great, slapped together with a bunch of brand used stuff. What more can you ask for? So we're going to have this thing racing in a couple days on the 250 shot. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be in the same position next week taking this engine out. TBD. So appreciate your guys' support in this matter. We'll see you in a couple days.